Welcome back to Carla Paiva Life Coach Show. And let me start first thanking one of my sponsors, which is Brian Crombie. He can be reached at www.briancrombiecapitalpartners.com or briancrombie.com. However, Brian also is involved in one of the events coming up. It's called Ideal for Me Parents. It's happening June 22nd at 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And this is about learn how to raise and successful a healthy child. It's on Friday, and it's also located 220 Burnham Thorpe Road, West Mississauga. For more information, check it out, www.corecenter.ca, or give it a call to 647-515-4357. Now, let me introduce my new guest, and his name is Anthony.
It's Menchella.
Menchella. Sorry, I
It's
don't
easier,
pronounce
it's
that
easier,
name
it's
out.
easier, it's easier to say Tony Menchella.
Yes, Tony Menchella. I think that's better.
Yes.
It flows better. So a big applause for Tony Menchella.
Thank
Yeah, I had
Thank
a little
you.
bit of a hard time to pronounce it.
you. Thank you for
So-
having me here. It's a privilege.
No problem, Tony. So Tony, the audience doesn't know really much about you. So I would like for you to give us a little bit of who you are as a person, aside the business.
Okay, I can tell you that, thank you for that nice introduction. I am a son of an Italian immigrant family.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Canada, and my mother and father came from Italy. And I spoke, my first language was not English, but was Italian. And we were very fortunate to be surrounded not only with Italians, but Spanish people, Portuguese, so many European, South American families. So I had the privilege of growing up with these type of individuals. My mother and father were a very hardworking couple. They both had jobs, and they provided for myself and my brother. Just my brother and I have an older brother.
Just the two of you?
There's just the two of us. I have an older brother that's 5 years older, and I was blessed to be part of. I was very blessed. My mother and father have since passed, but I was blessed to have them as my parents, and they taught us the true values of respect and hard work, and having a vision and driving to it. So, worked very hard, went to school, and my mother and father weren't very savvy, very understanding of the English in Canada. They didn't understand the politics. They just knew how to work and, make a paycheck and raise their family. And we were very fortunate to go to school and ultimately to go to university, and I gained a master's degree in psychology.
Wow, psychology.
And
so did you become a psychologist?
No, I became a realtor.
A realtor as opposed to a psychologist.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of plays a little bit, right? Because you deal with people, and it's like a good tool that nobody really knows that you have that, right?
Yeah, I think it wasn't for the premise of being a realtor or a psychologist. It was, I think, as I got older and gained experience and started to grow, I started to understand things better, and it made me a little more patient and understanding to situations and people, and how to deal with them, and how to diffuse, how to encourage, and encourage people to give it their best.
To give their best, yeah. So you are a father of 2 children?
I'm a father of 3 children.
Of 3, okay.
I have 2 boys and a girl, and I'm also proud to say that I'm a grandfather.
Grandfather, yeah.
I have 2 granddaughters.
And their names are?
Well, my oldest son, who's also in the business, his name is Daniel. And my second son, who's licensing as well in the business, who is just recently become a mortgage broker, Ryan, and my daughter, who is the youngest of the three, is still a student, and I understand will now be going to Stanford in California on scholarship.
Amazing.
So yeah, we're very happy about that.
Let's say hi to everybody there, all your people, whenever they watch or if they're watching. So now, in regards to studying, right? Since you were in psychology, and then what made you have the passion for the real estate?
Well, as a young boy, I grew up in a part of Toronto, in the downtown area off of College Street, like most Italians and Spanish people and Portuguese people. Yeah. The street that I grew up on was Delaware.
Oh, okay.
And there were big homes, 3-story homes. My mother and father had purchased one, and they couldn't afford to pay everything, so we rented out the 2nd and 3rd floor. And but what happened was I got an appreciation for the architecture of these older homes, the gumwood trims, the glass, and just the uniqueness of these homes. And also the fact that my grandfather, my mother's father, was in the real estate business back home. So I think he had a big influence on me, because we would talk, when I would visit in Italy, we would talk about that, and he encouraged me.
And would you get like passionate about it whenever you guys would talk about it? Is that when you really realized, you know what, I think this is what I love doing it and what I want to do?
Yes, absolutely. He not only was very passionate about it, but I was very intrigued by it, and I had a lot of questions. And he was very insightful and very helpful. And he encouraged me, and he told me, just don't. If you have a dream, just follow your dream. And it just seemed natural for me. It was a perfect fit.
Yeah. So while going through it, did you have, we all have struggles, we all have, ups and downs, and did you have struggles and ups and downs, and if so, how did you manage to deal with it while trying to achieve your dream?
Well, being a son of an immigrant family, the first struggles that we had was not speaking proper English. That was my biggest challenge, because a lot of the kids made fun of me, and I didn't quite understand it. And as a young Italian boy going to grade 6 and being in the lunchroom and opening up my mother's lunchbox, it was like a construction lunchbox. And she would make a sandwich. She would cut the loaf of bread in half and put, sometimes she would put rapini with the oil and the wax paper.
All the Italian style.
And all the little boys.
What did everybody else say?
All the little English boys sitting there eating their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They would make fun. They would say, "Oh my God, look at him. He's eating different. He's eating weird." So that was difficult for me. But my mother, when I would go home, I would say to my mother, "Ma, don't make any more sandwiches." And she would ask me, "But you didn't like it?" I said, "No, Ma, I loved it. But you make a big sandwich like that, and then you put one pear, one banana, one apple, one orange." The boys started making fun of me, thinking I was going to go fight a war.
Yeah.
So I was embarrassed, and my mother taught me from that point on to never be embarrassed of who you are and where you come from. And that had a big, big, big impact on my life, to be proud of who you are. Whether you're Italian, whether you're Spanish, whether you're Portuguese, doesn't matter. We're human, and we all have our
our own uniqueness, right? And differences. So let's say hi to our audience: Doris, Jimmy, Carlos, Jason, Iwa, and Martin, Nikki Camarda, Connie, and Mary Payano.
Hi, Mary.
So, hi everybody. Thanks for watching. Should you have any questions, please shoot it towards us so we can actually, be able to answer those questions.
So, just going back to that, which is very relevant, there were challenges. And then when I started in the real estate business, I was using my energy that was unchanneled, because I had to learn the ropes of the industry, the real estate business. And I can tell you, after 33 years in the business, it has changed by leaps and bounds. And you know, so learning a new language of real estate wasn't easy, but I did learn, and I even to this day I'm constantly upgrading my education in order to provide the best possible services to my clients, my colleagues, people that work for me, with me. So it's constantly updating.
Constantly. Well, you know, even when you're licensed, you're constantly always having to refresh your skills, right?
That's correct.
So just like within the legal, it's always a matter of refreshing. There's no such thing as you got your license and that's it.
No,
it stays there because everything keeps changing.
That's
right?
correct. And you know, and that period that you're talking about is a 24-month period that all realtors in the city of Toronto have to complete the courses that are mandated for us to complete, and we have 24 months in which to do that.
Wow,
so
that's
it's constant.
intense.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Very intense.
Yeah.
So tell me something. What are your hobbies?
Being Italian, I love soccer, and being Canadian, which I'm probably proud to be as well, I loved hockey. So in the summertime, my father, who didn't know much about hockey, loved bringing me to soccer. And then he did bring me to hockey, and he knew nothing about it.
Yeah,
and
you had to learn.
I had a passion for it, and I also had a passion as I got older to coach kids and in their development of sports and hockey and soccer. But I think more important was to be a role model for them. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed seeing kids excel and becoming better and in all aspects of their life and becoming disciplined and respectful. So that was very important.
That's great. That's great. Any other hobbies besides that? Now, like,
Oh, yes.
let's say, do you love to travel and
You're
anywhere
talking to
too?
someone.
Anywhere too?
I'll tell you. Other hobbies that I love dancing. I love theater. And I don't just mean movie theaters. I love live theater. I have season tickets for the last 20 years to theater. I love the symphony. I love attending the events at the Roy Thompson Hall. I've had the privilege of seeing Andrea Bocelli live in Capri in Italy.
Did,
Yes, I've traveled to some thank you, to some exotic places to see some of these incredible performers. So I enjoy that. I also enjoy writing. I'm a writer as well.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And I do love traveling, and I've traveled to many places. I've traveled to many places, but one of my most favorite destinations, it's more so because of the people. The climate is incredible. It's very hot, and the water.
Let me guess. Would it be Australia?
No.
No? Oh, Greece?
No, I've been to Greece. I like
Okay.
Greece. It's very nice. No, my most favorite place in the world.
In the world, wow.
And I've been to Paris, I've been to France, I've been to Italy, Spain, all over Europe.
I'm curious to know what
I've
it
been
is.
to, it's Mexico.
Oh, wow. Mexico.
I love the Mexican warmth of the people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're rich or whether you're poor. These people are just so genuine. I love them. It just, I feel my soul coming to life. It's like a flower blooming.
Yeah.
And when I need some downtime to relax, I make sure that I go there. And it's just the most incredible feeling on earth.
Nice. Wow, that's great. Well, we're gonna go for a quick commercial here, a break, and we'll be right back.
Flowing, you know?
So, when you start focusing on this,
Yeah, who I work for, where I started.
So, Anthony.
Call me Tony.
Tony, okay, Tony. I actually like Anthony better.
I know.
I guess because I've known of you
yes.
as Anthony, not Tony.
That's okay.
But, okay, so Tony, provide us with a little bit of information, more like in depth, what the Real Estate Foundation is all about.
Sure. Be happy to. First of all, I work with REMAX. My company is REMAX West. We have 11 offices, and the office that I'm primarily at is our Kleinburg office, but we're in Toronto, we're in Scarborough, we're in the Promenade, we're everywhere. And it's the #1 office in Eastern Canada. I am a broker.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is, as a salesperson, you get your licensing, and then you do more courses, more education to become specialized and become a broker. And a broker means you can open up your own office.
Oh, nice.
Whereas a salesperson can't, they work under the brokerage. So I'm REMAX West, and I started as an individual back in 1986.
Wow, 1986.
I'm showing my age.
I know. I'm like, I'm doing the calculations because I was only like 3, I think.
You were 3 years old? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, okay. Well, don't say that too loud,
Yeah,
because someone
I
out there is
didn't
gonna keep saying that
Yeah.
tonight to me all night.
No, it's okay.
Although by looking at me, some people don't think I'm my age, but thankfully.
But I mean, you have a lot of experience under your belt, so that's
Yes.
awesome. Especially when you deal with people that these are their homes, right? It's not just like a whatever, like
I
toy.
think, you know what, that's very true. But I think, you know, the most important thing that we have to understand is that in real estate, it's not the number of years that lend itself to experience, but it's the number of interactions with people. And people get confused. You know, I could say I've been in the business 80 years, but maybe I have 2 people in my career, so I'm not very, very experienced.
Yeah.
However, in being in the business for 33 years, I feel like I have 43 years of experience because I've had the privilege of dealing with so many people from so many languages and many countries. And so that has helped me in my business. And since I started to today, the business has changed tremendously.
Yes, yes, drastically.
Drastically.
Yeah.
And I've recognized that. And from going as an individual realtor, you know, there was a time, I think, as an individual, I had 25 to 35 listings on my own, and there's no way I could handle it anymore. So you
changed the plan.
Yes.
So let's once again go into the audience here. Hi to Joe Greco, Tony Cascarella, Joseph Randy, and Nikki. She has a question. Most successful marketing for your business to the next level. So what are the most successful marketing tools that you use for your business in order to bring it to the next level?
Well, that's a good question. Today, and this is where the business has changed tremendously. Again, thank you for the question. Social media is the way to go.
One of the tools?
Oh, absolutely. And whether it's talk shows, live video, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, I mean, these are very, 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 very key aspects of our business and
Would
marketing.
you say like maybe also being enrolled of like events where it allows you to share your talents of being a realtor? Do you also engage on those? Because I remember we've been in the festival, Bond Festival, and
That's
you were
correct.
one of the sponsors,
Yes.
which allowed you to kind of use that tool. It is
Yes.
a tool, right, to market yourself.
That's very right, very true. That was the Vaughan International Film Festival
Yes.
that I'm a sponsor of and will continue to be. And I sponsor other events such as that, and very happy to. Yes, it is a way to educate, to promote, to enlighten the people. But again, there's a lot of things. Social media. Back in the old days, this didn't exist.
It was door to door, wasn't it?
It was door to door. We didn't have telephones. We didn't have pagers. It was on a cold winter night.
Yeah.
We'd go to the phone booth and call into the office and ask if there were anybody call for us. We didn't have computer access like today, it's just
today technology.
It's rampant, yeah. There's some days I just shake my head and wonder how we did it. But a lot of the times it was word of mouth. We had our listing agreement was old carbon. It was very simple. Today, you probably need a lawyer to look at it because it's so in depth and
yes.
complicated.
Yes, so, all the agreements and everything to make sure. Do you use like a special system to tell you anything within like potential clients or anything like that? So, what kind of system is that?
So, how the business has changed, and I'm going to get to that system, is it's gone from very simplistic to very complicated, very advanced. Social media has really lent itself to it, and you have to stay on top of it. I've recognized that. There's probably, when we take a listing, there's probably 116 things to do. And for me to say I can do those 116 things to you, that would be incorrect.
It's not realistic.
No, I can't do that. So I have different people doing different aspects of the whole process, from taking the listing, measuring, taking pictures, doing videos, doing live staging. We have stagers. If we need someone to clean up the outside of the property, landscaping, we have that aspect of it as well. Someone that proofs our marketing stuff that goes out. We've got a marketing department. I have someone that helps me tremendously in my business. And
who would that be?
You know that is. That's Vicky.
Yes.
She's it's Vicky Rollo.
Yes.
So,
she's your assistant.
She's my assistant.
And she helps you.
She helps me out, and she does a very, very good job. She's licensed. She has her real estate license as well. So she is actually the brain thrust of my business, because she looks at everything and then disperses it to where it has to be dispersed in our team.
So basically, she operates your business. So
Correct.
She dictates to, okay, this has to be done, that has to be done, in order for you to be able to be at certain places and everything is smoothly running itself.
See, that's correct. So I went from being individual Tony Menchella to Tony Menchella team, having these team members, and Vicky, she is
amazing.
She's amazing at doing that. Sometimes could give me a headache with do this, do that, do this, and do that, but
you know
she's on top of it.
That's a good thing. That's what women do best. Sorry to say
then
that.
Then she gets a 10 plus for that.
Yeah, that's what women do best. We love to. I guess it's within also motherly thing, because as a mother, that's what you're used to do to your children, to make sure they do this, they are on top of that, and then it becomes to grow in you as a person. Then even when you run a business or help someone run the business, then you transition that into that as well, which I mean it's a plus for you because she's already up there.
Yeah, and something that's that the people out there don't know is that Vicky and other people on this team, they're all licensed, they're all well-versed, educated on specifics of the business and various sectors of our business, whether it's marketing, we have marketing professionals, whether it's even from a finance, we have financial experts that can help you with mortgages and difficult mortgages, from all kinds, from small mortgages to the sky's the limit. So these people are very, very well qualified, educated, and on top, and they're the best of the best. There's no second place for these people. They're all the best of the best, and they're very demanding. They know that they have to do the best.
Well, it's like this: in order to deliver the right service, you have to follow a certain structure, right? So I think they're the best because they have their own structure. It has worked for them for many years, and if you work with them, right, then you gotta follow that structure in order to succeed. Because if they succeed, then you will succeed, right? And it rubs off on everybody. If, for example, we take a listing and the seller sometimes will say, "My God, it's like a machine." From the moment we sign the listing, to the next day, the measurements, the cleanup crew, the staging crew,
to the photography, to the videos, and on and on and on. They're just overwhelmed. And then the property sells, in 33 years, maybe I can count on one hand people that were disappointed.
Yeah.
But overall, I've been so blessed and privileged to represent the most amazing clientele, and I'm just so happy about that.
Well, plus I guess sharing is caring, because now
Yes, true.
You share your success and your business with other individuals that can actually shine, right, with you, doing something that they're very passionate, right? So that makes a big difference. Now, we spoke earlier about success, and I wanted you to share with us what is success for you.
Thank you for that question, actually. And I've been thinking about success, and a lot of people equate to making money as successful. I think it's the other way around. I think once you gain success, you make money. See, people that make money work in the mint, they work in the bank, where they make the money.
Yeah.
But you've got to be good at something in order to make the money. And I believe when you find your passion, as I have in this business, I love what I do, and I love helping people and realizing their dreams. You become successful at executing that, and you make a healthy living doing this. So you've got to have a vision to what you want to do to achieve that.
To achieve that. So basically, to you, the success is be good at what you are, and do it by actually caring about that person, as opposed to all just focused about money. And then once you do that, then people will actually want to, be in business with you or for you, right? And then it works both ways, and then it's a win-win situation, right?
I think that's very right and very true. I think that too, a part of me that lends itself to what I do and to the people I work with and we work together, is that I'm a motivator as well. And I think it comes naturally. I think, for example, I think we all are capable of being successful, each and every one of us. I don't think anyone should ever diminish your light. I think that if you have a goal, write it down, put it on a piece of paper, look at it every morning, find ways to achieve that goal. Put a plan into action. If it doesn't work today, keep working at it. I really believe God, there's this saying that God didn't create on this earth a stairway to nowhere.
Yeah,
so
that's a good way to place it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So He's given us the ability to achieve whatever we choose and drive to achieve. There's no one that can stop you from your dream. I mean, we all know and have heard and have seen people in this lifetime where they have disabilities, guys that have no legs, guys that have no arms, people that have no but yet, Stephen Hawking, who just passed away, was one of the most brilliant minds on this earth.
Yes.
And, the limit was the sky for him. The first black president in the United States.
Oh, yes, Obama.
Yeah.
Yes.
So success is just, it's what you make of your life, and don't let anyone diminish that light within you. So
yes, or take over. Right? And this is where a lot of people actually go different roads, and they grow apart because some seem to have one vision, the other one a different totally vision. Then they kind of overtake each other to the point that it's not allowing anyone to succeed to that vision, and then that's when they actually apart, right? And then when they apart, then these people start rebuilding themselves to reach to that vision. But that's sad that you have to be apart from that person in order to rebuild and reach that vision, because the main key is, as united, we should be able to help each other to rebuild each other, right? And then help each other to reach to that vision, because if I succeed, you will succeed, right?
I think some of the most successful people on earth are teachers. They've worked so hard to elevate their their education and to share it, with students. And to me,
their knowledge.
They're successful just alone on that.
Yeah, that's right. So tell me something.
And it's not limited to education, by the way. Let me make
it's
that
not
clear,
limited
because
to education.
my mother and father, as far as I'm
they're
concerned,
your number one teachers.
they were a success because they were immigrants. They came to this country. They paid their taxes. They worked very hard. They raised a family, and they taught us respect. Loving ambience,
yeah.
And they with discipline. My father in the old country was in Italy. They called him a carabiniere, which in English means he was a state policeman, just like our RCMP here in Canada.
Oh wow, okay,
yeah,
that's good.
He was a respected officer. So to me, that's successful. Raising a family is successful. Being a mother is a job in itself is a form of success, and seeing the end result of raising kids that are respectful and flourishing in their life.
Yeah, it's successful. I guess success is determined in very different ways. For some people, going to school, having the diploma, it's successful. Being able to impact others and making a difference in others' lives, to that person would be being successful. Being able to help others to reach wherever they want to get, it's also a form of being successful, right? So everyone has a different idea of what success is all about.
That's true.
Yeah. So now tell us about when you have, I'm pretty sure at times you have difficult clients.
That's correct.
And when you have clients that are either picky or very unhappy, how do you overcome that and bring that negative into the positive?
Well, thank you for that question. It's a good question because it does happen. And, at the moment we actually do have one like that.
Oh, you do?
And again, I'm going to mention Vicky's name. She's been instrumental in dealing with this one particular situation. And I just overlook it, but I guess it's understanding. A lot of people, when they get angry and frustrated, there's a fear involved with that, and we have to get to the bottom of that without criticizing, without losing our patience. We stay focused.
Which is challenging, right?
It is challenging. So what we do sit-downs with them, whether it's in our office, whether it's at their home. So we educate them. Let's say in this market today, the market's we went from a very, very hot market to a market that's in flux, which means in change, and so the prices have dropped from the crazy market that we've been in. So a lot of sellers today are thinking, why isn't my house worth what my neighbor sold it a year ago?
Yeah.
And they get very angry when you tell them, well, it's about $80,000-$90,000 less. And they said, well, a year ago he sold it for $800,000. Now my house is only worth $700,000. Yeah, but the market is dictated by so many factors. And
the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Right. That would be a huge factor, right? Which I think it's going to cause us to get into another recession or something.
I know you were saying that earlier.
I was saying that because I have a feeling we're going to head there eventually.
Well, I sure hope not. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that. The newly elected government carries out what they said by lowering fuel costs, which will help out a lot of Ontario families, lowering energy costs, and putting more money in the pockets of Ontarians for sure.
Yeah.
But so it has affected the real estate market, and prices have dropped. We're not in a depression or a recession in real estate, just an averaging out. And a lot of sellers are getting frustrated and they're getting angry at their agents. And most times it's not even the agent's fault. They just happen to be, at the time of the listing, just in change. And I think a good agent will educate the sellers as to what is happening and the factors that are causing these changes. In my marketplace, one of the major factors were the increase in the mortgage rates, the unsuredness of the increasing of mortgages. Are they going to go up? Are they going to stay where they're at? I know that there's a foreign investment tax that was implemented, and it did affect one of my clients. I sold a very high-end property to one of Toronto's well-known athletes.
Okay.
It was $7+ million, and he was charged almost, in fact, $1 million in taxes on that purchase. It was just unbelievable because of this
crazy.
15% tax that the government implemented, as well as land transfer tax.
Yeah, plus the now you cannot purchase unless you put 20% down.
That's correct.
Is that
and
correct?
That's correct. You must put 20% down and also be submitted to a stress test.
Oh,
Did you
really?
know that? Oh, yeah. You have to have a stress test too.
A stress test
and,
in order to own a house?
And they're very clever.
Don't tell me that.
And they're very clever because they want to make sure when they're lending you this money, when the lending institutions are lending you this money, that you're going to be able to pay it. That their mortgage that they have given you is not going to go by the wayside in case of, God forbid, death.
Oh, wow. So now that's into play. Wow. So there's the 20%, which is like if the house is, let's say, 500.
You must put 20%, which is 100,000
from that amount.
Yes.
Okay. And then you need to do the stress test. But that is, let's say if they purchase a house and then they're selling. So they're selling and they're buying one, and then they're transferring whatever they're getting from that house, and they're putting more than 20%. Then basically the stress test would not apply to that, would it?
So
I'm just curious about that. I'm curious about that.
That's a good question. First of all, what we do for buyers, we make sure that they're pre-qualified. So if anyone out there is looking to buy a house and they don't have a house to sell or a condo to sell or a property to sell, what we do, we sit down with them and we pre-qualify them. And by doing that, we're finding out that A, they have 20% down in equity to put down towards the property. B, that they actually qualify in terms of income, because that's very important. The lender wants to make sure that you're able to pay for this based on your income. And if not, you have a co-signer, someone that would, sponsor you in case that you're unable to do that. And if you do have that, then you go to the stress test.
Okay.
So that's the
Tony would co-sign, right?
For you?
No, I'm just joking.
For you? Yes. For you, yes.
Just co-sign.
And now in the event, like you said, that someone is selling a house, they've sold their house. Again, it depends on if they've sold their house for 500 and they're buying a house for 1 million, they've literally doubled up. So now, if they had a mortgage of 300,000 and they're left with $200,000 in equity, okay, on $1 million, 20% is 200,000. So they qualify with the deposit, but they have to qualify for the mortgage of $800,000.
Moving onwards.
Right. So they have to have income to support that.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then they have to have a co-signer. And if they do, then again, the stress test. And I think going through this whole process is stressful enough.
Wow, that's crazy. I never heard about the stress test.
Really?
That's very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So tell us another, any new rules within the housing market that it's out there?
Well, this has been one of the major rules right now that we've just been talking about with mortgages and financing. I think what the government was trying to do with the new rules that they put into place, one of them was the immigration tax. They implemented a 15% tax on all foreigners. And I think what the reason for doing that was to avoid foreign investment in Canada. I know one of the largest Canadian construction and development companies, Acon, was conditionally sold to China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for billions.
Wow.
And the Canadian government stepped in and didn't allow the deal to go through because they're worried that foreign investors are going to take over our country. And so that deal got
is that
botched.
What it is?
Yeah. So one of the rules is this foreign investment that's had a very significant impact for
investors.
investors.
Yeah.
Mortgages. The new rules with mortgages. The 20%. The stress test.
Yeah.
These are rules that have just been implemented. Before we had 5%.
And now how about someone wants to sell a home but they're renting So it becomes like a landlord kind of thing. So do you help them with that as well?
You mean if they're a tenant?
Yes, there's a tenant there.
Okay.
So let's say they live upstairs, the owners, and the tenant is in the unit at the bottom level.
Basement.
Yeah. And then you want to sell the house. So how does that come into play?
Okay, so and this happens all the time. In fact, we just had one not too long ago like that. The seller notifies the tenant that what his intentions are, that he wishes to sell the house, and you can let the tenant know that if the new purchaser wishes to keep the tenant, and the tenant wishes to stay, then nothing would happen with the tenant.
So do you find that's like an incentive, like to sell the property, or it's not an incentive, like actually people will not want the property if there is a tenant there?
Well, you know what, again, that's a good question, and it depends on two factors. One, if it's a younger couple starting off, or another couple, in this case, someone who's retiring and wants the quiet.
Oh, then they would not
want the tenant.
Anybody. Okay. So if it's someone starting or looking for a property with an additional income, then that would be the great ideal.
Right.
So those would be the people that you would go, hey, listen, I have a property that would actually be the ideal for the plan that you guys want.
And something that's very important that I guess the listeners should be very aware of is that a lot of properties that are sold with basement apartments, a lot of times these basement apartments are not legal, and which means that the buyer is depending, let's say for example that the basement apartment brings in $800 per month. If that buyer has bought this house for $500,000 and counting on this $800 per month to pay the mortgage, and it is not a legal basement apartment, the city can close that basement apartment and take away that $800. So they're going to be left in limbo. So the important thing is, at the time that anyone is making an offer to purchase a property that has a basement apartment, please make sure that it's legal.
Legal.
Because if it is not, that income is gone.
Well, that income is gone because you cannot use it as part of, let's say if it's a new couple starting and they make, reasonable, they can still be approved. However, if they were able to put that extra income being legal, then they would be able to boost up their income, right?
Which
to
would make it easier
higher
to get
and
approval.
to get approval for them to get the property.
True.
Okay, that's really good to know. Yeah, that was really. So I want to say hi to Claudia, Anna, Robert, Mary, Payano, and Claudio. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Mary.
That's great. So now I have another question, and I've been trying to think about this one. Because, what happens if the house has pests, like, like cockroaches, mice, and things like that, and you're aware of, but your client is not aware of. So what happens then?
Good question, and yes, that does happen. I think most importantly, every realtor has to divulge any inadequacies, any deficiencies with the house to their clients. If not, they will certainly be reprimanded for that, because in our rules and regulations, in our Bible, this is a must. The buyer must be informed if they know anything. If someone has died in the home, that's something that must be communicated. That? Yeah. So when we sit down and take the listing, we will go through questions and ask all these questions. And if we don't know, we will ask them also, is there anything else that you can add to this? And if they say, well, we don't know, then we go on the assumption that they don't know, and after we investigate as much as we can, then we just have to go by that. But if we, to the buyer, know something and don't communicate it, then we are liable to that buyer.
So let's say someone purchased and and then after purchasing, they start, like, let's say 3 months later, they start seeing, cockroach or whatever it is. So can they come to you? Like, what is the liability threshold?
That's true, and yes, they can. It's called a latent defect. I've actually had a couple of properties where my buyer has purchased in the Bathurst and Dundas area.
Okay.
And I think the street was at the time was Lippincott Street.
Oh, Lippincott, yeah.
And the house was infested with termites, but we couldn't see them. And the seller never disclosed anything. And the buyers at the time, we did a home inspection as well. The home inspector didn't find anything.
Oh, wow.
But what started happening over 2 months, the seller would go down into the basement. That was unfinished, but the pillar, which was a wood pillar, they would notice almost like sawdust. You know when you cut wood and there's the sawdust?
Yes.
They would notice sawdust, and they were wondering where the sawdust was coming.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first sign of termites.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and anyways, as it turned out, they obviously notified us, those new purchasers, that were you aware of this? And we certainly weren't aware of it. It wasn't disclosed to us.
Yeah.
And then we notified the home inspector, and the home inspector then had to, deal with this, and they contacted their lawyer too, because I think what it does, it affects the actual foundations of the house. So there was a lot of
value,
factors. Oh my God, absolutely.
It brings down the value of the house.
If untreated, it could actually knock down the house.
But then let's say they treat it, and it's fine, and then they sell the home because they treated it was fine, and then out of nowhere they sold it, and then now these people after 6 months start having it because I've noticed, like, when it's townhomes, that there's high potential for that, right? You could treat your home, especially if your home is in the middle, you could treat your home, fumigate, do whatever, but then 6 months or at least once a year you need to keep doing it, right? So if you do that, but then you sold the house is no longer yours, but these people don't know about it, and then 6 months come and it happens.
Is this to another purchaser?
Yeah, like another purchaser, someone purchased, right?
And then they resold it again.
No, they lived there,
yes,
right, for many years, and then they sold that property, right? But every year they do the treatment, right?
Yes.
And then upon selling the property, they did not disclose because everything is clean, and you got an inspector, everything is spick clean, right? So then the new buyers, they move in, they're settled. 6 months later, these things start happening, which it was not there, or even a year later, it was not there. Then what do you do there?
I think there's a time period.
There must be a time.
There is a time period. I know in my case it was 3 months. I'm not sure if that's been extended. That's more of a legal question. But I do know that things happen over time. But 3 months later, that's still fairly fresh. So
yeah.
I think it was, for me, my case was 3 months.
3 months?
Oh yeah.
So, okay. So that's something that it's good to know, because then that way people are more aware. If it happens, then they know, okay, well, the threshold was this and we're no longer under that, so we can't really go after. Because nowadays, believe it or not, a lot of people, all they do is sue or try to get any penny that they can. Right.
Carla, another thing that happens quite frequently, and our listeners should be aware of it too, is that when purchasing a house, some of these homes may have been in a fire, and they may have been cleaned up, fixed up, but that has to be disclosed. You can't sweep it under the rug. That must be disclosed.
Yes.
And that's another one of our rules in our Toronto Real Estate Board, that disclosure is very important. If the house has been in a fire, if there's been water damage, if there's been a death in this house, that all must be disclosed.
Yeah, the death one, I know that one. Okay, well, we want to say hi to Albert, Roman, Julia, Andrea, and Jackie. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So now, should anyone want to get a hold of you and have access of you, please provide your information to them so they know exactly where to look upon your information.
It would be a pleasure and a privilege to help out our dear listeners here. I can be reached directly on my direct line at 416-726-1723. I'll repeat that again. It's 416-726-1723. Or through my office. I have two offices. One is a 416-745-2300. Again, it's 416-745-2300. Or for those living in the North End, 905-607-2000. That's 905-607-2000. And or you can email me at A is an apple. My last name is Menchella, as the English say. MENCHELLA @rogers.com.
And do you have a website?
It's currently under construction. It went from individual to.
I think it's the season. It's the construction season right now.
It's under the Tony Menchella team. So
they're working on it.
It'll be up and running very soon.
Yes. So I will be closing today the show. Also announcing that Tony will be also sponsoring my show. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
I want to say hi to Erica, Jackie, and Mariela. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. And Tony, thank you so much. It's a pleasure, and thank you for coming.
Pleasure was mine.
And everybody, stay tuned. Every Wednesday, watch Carla Paiva Life Coach show. Every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9. So we'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.
Good night.